Hello folks, this is Paragon RG, and we are going to be casting some Age of Empires 4 games post-patch. Patch or update, I'm not sure which one this is, but a patch has dropped for Age of Empires 4, which has fixed a couple things, including nerfing Springalds. So a bit of balance changes, some exploits fixed, and things like that. Let's get into this game in particular. On the west side of the map, we have 3DB in the blue, playing as the Delhi. Now, I actually chose him, A, because he's been playing today since the patch, and B, because he normally picks the Chinese. So I've been curious how he will fare without the Springalds being quite so powerful anymore. They're actually more powerful now as an anti-siege weapon, but they are a bit more expensive, and they should be quite a bit less good against other units in the game. On the east of the map, we have Alter, Petit Drogo. I'm just going to call you Drogo, sir. In the red, we have Drogo playing as the Mongols, and 3B was Delhi, in case I didn't mention that. So my usual fascination with Delhi continues. I'd like to know how people are playing them since the patch in particular. So we'll keep an eye to see if any particularly interesting build orders come to light. Now, I did not notice the villager walk off, but we do see a dock here from 3DB, and it makes sense. I was trying to figure out what could possibly be happening here. Not very much, except that there's a bunch of villagers on wood, which means he's pretty much making fishing ships. So he's gone for the dock early, which makes sense and is very common to do on this map. Something to note as well is that Delhi gets 100 additional wood, so instead of 150, I believe they start the game with 250. And the intent of that is so they can build a mosque right off the top. No mosque. So that wood has been used instead, plus 50, of course, for the dock. Fishing boats themselves do cost 15 extra wood now, as per the second most recent patch, but they're still very, very viable to go for. And some people argue you pretty much have to go for ships on hybrid maps now. Delhi also being particularly powerful on the hybrid maps because of their attack. So, you know, they're the only fishing ship that actually fires, which means you can't really deny these docks. You'd have to get there pretty early, maybe even with villagers to attack their villager. Maybe we'll see more of that kind of thing, but that certainly is not happening just yet. So, fish booming away quite happily here is 3DB. Nothing really additional happening in his base yet. More villagers are on food, so I'm assuming, yeah, not relying entirely on the food economy from the fishing ships, getting some gold. So I think we're going to see him try to click up as soon as he can at this point. Let's head on over to Drogo. That barracks is up by the Ovo. Now, I'm not a big fan of this, considering that I don't think there's really anything he's going to be able to do about the dock from Delhi. And then, of course, once a player hits the feudal age and they have a dock, they can build an aeroship out of it. In this case being a Dao. And, you know, there's not much you can do about the dock. You're certainly not going to burn it down with spearmen when there's an aeroship shooting at your spears. So there's a spearman out, just generally causing problems. I don't think this is too big of an issue. In fact, he just, almost surrounds it. Spearman does get away. Workers go back to work. Nothing to see here. So making the most of the, I guess, single spearman he made. I'm assuming this villager was over here to dock as well, or perhaps go for some sort of proxy. Proxying as the Mongols, well, I guess it would be more of a surprise, wouldn't it? But doesn't seem to make as much sense, considering that, you know, you generally want to be building by an OVO. So, I mean, I could imagine, you know, make an OVO here and proxy there. But we'll find out what happens with this villager. The scout has been watching him and, in fact, poking away at this villager the entire time. Is he going to dock on the backwater of 3DB? That would be special. Maybe that, I mean, the spearman is almost dead now, but... So yeah, villager, I think this is the right play. Villagers coming out to try to stop whatever it is that is happening, and it just isn't that clear what it is, right? A couple of villagers with a little bit of idle time, you know, the 20 seconds here isn't such a big deal compared to the one villager that's been wandering around for 2 minutes now from Drogo. So I think that's the right kind of play. Jump on it, deal with it, make sure it doesn't get out of hand. And 3DB is in control of this game as it stands. So 3DB is halfway up to the Feudal Age and is going up with the Dome of the Faith, which is not too surprising. Can make scholars out of there for half price. So I'm hoping at some point we see some... Okay, so 3DB takes out this this villager. I cut myself off here, but this is rather important. So that villager goes down, and whatever shenanigans Drogo was planning is officially over. As I was saying, I'm hoping for some update to the Delhi landmarks. I don't know what we'll get for quite some time, but there really is only one... Oh my god, and the game is over? Well, I'm sorry, folks. I guess this was a proxy attempt by Drogo, and it didn't pan out. 3DB taking the win with Delhi against Drogo's Mongols on Nagari? Yes, on Nagari. This has been Paragon RG. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Oh boy. Oh boy, did not see that coming. Okay, just pulling my chat up here. Yeah, it kind of makes sense though, right? I mean... Pardon me. I mean, you know, that villager had been idle for so long. They're not on water. What was Drogo really going to do that game? And like I said, the early barracks, I don't think it made any sense. I don't think... If you're not planning on using that, it is such a waste of resources. You might as well get to feudal first. Maybe you can even do some kind of ram push if you're in an all-in mood. So that really didn't pan out from Drogo. So go ahead and avert your eyes here. I'm going to look for 3DB's next game. I know he has at least one more. And here we go. Go ahead and look. Hello folks, this is Paragon RG and we're casting some top level games today. In particular, we are watching 3DB because he is one of the first top players to have some games within a couple hours of the latest patch being dropped. So I want to watch his gameplay to see what he's been up to, if anything has changed. 3DB is primarily, well, we're looking at Kaposh here, but 3DB is primarily a Chinese player. Last game I streamed, he was Delhi, which was a bit surprising to me. This time he's back to the Chinese. So I haven't seen the new Springalds in action yet, and we know they're better against other siege weapons and worse against other units, and they're more expensive overall. So I am curious to see if 3DB changes anything, if he has success with that, or perhaps he continues with the sort of astronomical clock tower castle age and pushes with Springalds, and then in that case, maybe we'll get to see Springalds succeed or fail, and either way, it should be interesting. So, to this game in particular, intro aside, Kapoch, the Argentinian, is on the west side here in the blue, and he's playing as the Mongols. Ovo is in a nice spot here, right beside his town center, and an early stable going down, so we expect to see some kind of early pressure, and I think that makes a lot of sense. We're on Mountain Pass, and there's really only one way to get to your opponent. You do not want your opponent walling off. I wouldn't even be surprised to see 3DB move up here and wall it. China is definitely more of a civ that you want to get to the late game. Mongols are more of an early game civ. Not to say that they can't be successful in the late game, but it's pretty hard to deal with Chinese siege and cannons. 3DB is on the southeast side of the map as red and is playing as the Chinese. We'll keep an eye on his build. I don't expect too much to change just yet. So we have the Imperial Official supervising the mill, which increases the drop-off for villagers by 20%. You see the 12s coming up there for food. So should be a pretty good castle age for him. And what he'll do is just basically when this thing hits 20, you'll see the Imperial Official walk off, bring the tax gold in, and he'll rely on that gold for his Dark Age gold income to get to the Feudal Age. In the meantime, he actually did make a second scout, which I didn't notice. So we see two of them running around on the map. That will help to grab extra sheep and to generally just keep an eye on what the Mongol player is doing. So are these scouts coming out? Yeah, 2 times scouts. This makes a ton of sense to me. Professional scouts has very much been the meta for, can't say for very long. The game is changing pretty fast, I would say. As the weeks go on, we see different styles of play. So scouts being used pretty often now. So he'll pump out these scouts and he'll use them for aggression, and then he'll probably research professional scouts once he hits the feudal age. At which point he'll run around and grab as much of the deer on the map as he can. And in the meantime, those scouts can be used to try to prevent his opponent from walling off. 3B looking pretty good for getting to the feudal age. Almost has the gold he needs. He's 15 off, and he should be able to grab that any second now, and he just needs the food. So looking good. If I had to guess, if he scouted the stable, we might see the Barbican of the Sun. You may be worried about some sort of crazy scouts play from the Mongol player. In the meantime, though, I don't see too many more scouts out for Kaposh. So he has 5 military units. So he made 4 scouts. And, of course, starting with his Khan. So 4 scouts isn't too crazy. Actually, I'm wrong on that. 2 of them were actually horsemen. So, and what do we see? Yeah, so Barbican of the Sun going down to protect the wood line. And this may even help if he wants to add a town center here later. It might help defend the area. Oh, canceling it. Is he going to do it up here? Okay, there he goes. So wants to protect this wood line and the gold. I think that's pretty reasonable. Keep an eye on these units here and see what shenanigans they get up to. Just running around for now, looking for trouble, basically. Only 2 villagers on this, so he does have to make sure his landmark goes down. You don't want to delay your feudal age, or rather allow your opponent to delay your feudal age by too much. There's a couple of scouts out. Those horsemen are actually pretty mean in this age, though. You can see him having to run villagers home. This town center will help out quite a bit. So far I see very, very good micro. It's a little hard to see if any villagers have gone down. But it doesn't look like anyone's lost any units until just now Kapoch has killed, I'm guessing, a villager. Because I don't think he would have made another scout. Unless I am mistaken on that. Now they've each killed 1 and lost 1, so head back to current resources. And Kapoch leaves at a good time. The Barbican of the Sun comes up. It does 25 damage a pop, so there's not too much he can do around there with units that are this early. Let's head over to him, and he's actually up. I didn't see him hit the feudal age, but he's up with the deer stones. I have a feeling he sped that up a little bit. Quite a few more scouts coming out, and I'm guessing we see professional scouts coming in, and we do. So we'll watch him run around on the map for a little while. Also, professional scouts just coming in from the Chinese player as well, and you see he has a stable that's being supervised, this sneaky imperial official here. So these horsemen being built in 7, or rather, scouts. There we go. It kind of weirds me out that they're the farthest right when they're the cheapest and earliest unit you can have access to. Anyway, he can build them in 6 seconds flat. So that gap, yeah, just kill this horseman. There we go. That gap in his opponent getting that stable in the Dark Age, that's pretty much covered by now. So Kapoch has 9 military. He has now 7. In fact, putting out horsemen now. So we're seeing this is actually pretty neat. I think it's pretty rare that we see horsemen at this stage. Not too many, at least, and we're seeing a nice little skirmish with them. There have been suggestions. I know the Viper in particular suggested that maybe scouts should be slower when they're carrying deer carcasses, which I think would actually be a pretty good idea. It would mean that you can't just grab a deer carcass from under a bunch of spearmen. You know, they'll get a couple of hits off, or a single horseman will be able to chase a scout down a little more quickly, things like that. Like, this scout will go down, but look how hard it is to kill this one. Pretty difficult. Okay. So yeah, more cavalry coming out. It's pretty interesting. 11 military from 3DB and 11 from Capoche. So very even military-wise. Capoche does have 2 more villagers, and I believe that's because of scouts produced by 3DB, which would have come out of his town center. And so that means he's not making villagers in that time. So 3DB running around, grabbing the deer that are right beside Capoche. I think that's a good play. You might as well while you're here. And in the meantime, he'll try to kill his opponent's scouts. So yeah, I had to admit, I'm enjoying this. Maybe it's simple. I'm a simple man. But we usually don't see this kind of Dark Age pressure and shenanigans going on. It does look to me that Capoche has the larger military, so 13. Well, 3DB has 16, apparently. Maybe there's enough stragglers. But it looks like he's outnumbered here. So, where are the scouts? I mean, I thought the scouts would... Did they make it home? They did make it home. Okay, so the scouts with the deer on their back made it home. 3DB, not exactly a cleanup, but something of a stalemate here. And I think he's overextended. You might as well save some of these injured horsemen. And he'll head on home. Capoche will chase him en route. Look at that view from up on the mountain. And there's the wall coming down from 3DB. So he's going to hang out here to do everything he can to get that wall up, and then he'll stall the game. So do we see a second... I mean, Capoche has quite a bit of... He has a lot of resources. Looks like he's headed straight for the Castle Age. In the meantime, 3DB has actually quite a bit of food, though not very much gold. So I guess both are heading to Castle Age, but Capoche will be clicking up quite a bit early. That being said, with this wall up, whether or not he'll be able to take advantage of it is another question entirely. 3DB continuing to press. I want to keep a close eye on military here. So it's actually 19-9. So the fact that Capoche has been saving resources for the Castle Age is showing here. And he's actually building it. You know, this might not seem like a lot, but these villagers were not collecting gold for a bit. And, you know, that tower delayed his Castle Age significantly. And we actually see some gold expenditure. So... is that a... what, is there a blacksmith or something? Huh. No upgrade on the tower. So yeah, his gold went down, and I'm not sure why. He's going to try to push back out. That being said, even just the number of scouts, I mean, there's enough of a meat shield here that I don't think you're going to get through what 3DB currently has. Capoche, I believe, has clicked up here, and we see him going up with the step readout. And this is probably the right call. He's not going to be too aggressive on this map. He is walled in now. So you might as well use it as an opportunity to... boom isn't the right word, but play the economic game and be able to drop off 50% more gold. It's a pretty big deal for the Mongols. Scouts headed up to grab whatever deer carcasses are left. Don't think they can do anything to the boar. Where is that deer? It has it on the mini-map. I think he's looking for it. Yeah, he's... Your guess is as good as mine, sir. I can't see it even in the replay view. So, hidden deer carcass there. He'll head home. Let's keep an eye on... So, the fact that you can drop them off... So, idle villagers here, not ideal. But the fact that they can be dropped off... Yeah, he needs to get these on berries. Carcasses can be dropped off here, and the Imperial official can continue to supervise. Makes it a really big deal. And additionally, he can always get survival techniques to increase the rate at which he goes through those deer. 3DB, yeah, a lot of resources in the bank. So much wood as well. So, you know, when you see a lot of wood in Age of Empires, it's usually because of a macro slip. There's rarely a time to save up too much wood. You know, you could imagine a player had 800 wood going into Feudal Age. Well, that might be to drop 2 town centers. That would be pretty reasonable. But I don't see any similar plan here for 3DB. So we'll keep an eye. He just spent a bunch. We'll keep an eye on what that is. This wall going down really quickly. And this is one of the things with people are realizing with scouts is they're cheap, they're fast. You can run up to walls and just torch them down. So any delay that 3DB was hoping for is effectively over, and Veteran Spearman coming in now from Capoche as well. And it looks like, yeah, I see a Lancer in there. I don't know that he'll upgrade his Horsemen. There's only a couple in there, and they're pretty injured, so that may not be a wise play. But he has the Astronomical Clock Tower out. And here's where things get interesting, because these Springalds just aren't the powerhouses that they used to be, and they cost more. So instead of 200 wood, 200 gold, 400 total resources, they're now 500 total resources. And that matters. That's 25% more, and they do less damage to regular units. Crossbows coming out from 3DB. I think he mostly needs to stall here until he gets some kind of mass and is able to deal with this. If he hangs out closer to his town center, I think that is a good idea. He has the Barbican of the Sun here. Maybe pull some villagers away and focus them chopping trees into this area. We haven't seen a second town center from him yet. So both in Castle Age, but Capoche showing a much, much higher score. Looking at the numbers right now, 3DB, 39 economy, 40 now, 45 for Capoche. So probably after this encounter, 3DB is behind in his economy. That being said, Capoche needs to be careful not to overextend. The scouts are cheap, but once they go down, it's true that your meat shield is gone. And so you'll just generally be less effective in combat after that point. You'll have to spend precious time making scouts instead of lancers and things like that, which may require more stables and so on and so on. So, you know, in short, don't lose units if you don't have to. Another villager going down from 3DB. A few crossbowmen coming out. This should start to be enough that Capoche won't really want to deal with it. And he's taking out lancers, which are quite expensive. So let's see these. Hopefully we see these pulled back here. Looks like he might lose. Okay, so there's enough crossbows. He shouldn't lose any more of them at that point. Score definitely way off. So Capoche's gold income is indeed really high because of that step readout. But do we see anything else in particular from him? We see a prayer tent, so he'll be picking up relics pretty soon. And we see a siege workshop going down as well, which is interesting. We don't usually see a lot of that from the Mongols, simply because they can place a blacksmith and they can research siege engineering, and they can pretty much build whatever they want in the field, with the exception of cannons. Of course, you don't get cannons in the Castle Age. So I am curious about that siege workshop. I'm not sure. Maybe it's an upgrade thing. He wants some sort of speed upgrade. 3DB has to be careful with this. Another villager walking forward, but you know, he goes down quickly to even just veteran spearmen at this point. So maybe if he can tap quickly enough to get some walls up. But no, it looks like another villager going down from him. And I think he needs some sort of plan to get back into this game. Monastery coming down from him as well. And I don't think we haven't seen the Song Dynasty. Not a second TC. His wall went down. You know, when it's such there's a single place to wall off, I really think we're going to start seeing players use stone walls. You just can't burn them down with scouts, and so you have to bring in siege. So that would have given them the time he needed. But now there are Mongols in his base, and that's something you never want to hear. Lots of Lancers coming in, but lots of Spearmen from Capoche. So good pulling away that charge. His crossbowmen, could be better against Spearmen, but ultimately they can kite, they can run away, they can shoot. So he should be okay here to pick away at 3DB's forces, and if he can separate them enough, maybe the Lancers can jump on smaller groups. So he'll push back out. Look at that brace, but those Lancers going down really quickly. So this may even have been cost effective for 3DB, despite fighting Spearmen. Now, he does need to be careful to not get any extra shots on him, but crossbowmen starting to take out the Spearmen, and of course the Lancers won't be any good either. This Springald is probably going to go down to the Knights if he's not able to protect it with the spears. So, yeah, look at that thing go down. Note that the health has not changed. Did I get that right? Yeah, the health has not changed for the Springald. The cost changed. Their speed actually did go down a little bit, which will affect that situation in some way, but that's just the effect of knights jumping on a single Springald. Not too much to Springald can do. Market. Forward market. That's odd. But this has been really good play. Not too many crossbowmen from 3DB, but sort of just enough to chip away at his opponent's military and to push him back out. Step Redoubt has moved to this bottom gold patch. Needs to get rid of this Gur, though. Most of these villagers are dropping off to the wrong place here. So hopefully Capoche will fix that. But I'm just generally trying to figure out why Capoche's score is so much higher. So 3DB, 45 villagers, 26 military versus 56 and 15. So quite a bit better military for 3DB, but 10 villagers less. So curious how he is going to make up that deficit, or if his plan is all-out aggression at this point, and he thinks that he has the military advantage and can do it. So another, if you're curious how this disappeared, that's the effect of building another OVO. The last one you have disappears as soon as you do that. Okay, so moving forward here, Outpost going down from 3DB. I like that a lot. Might as well have safe places to hide in. You can even hide Lancers in there if for some reason they need to get away from something. Like a low, an injured Lancer can shoot, might as well shoot an arrow out of a tower if you think they're going to die otherwise. And then in general, he'll get good line of sight over this area. So I like this a lot. To be honest, I mean, yeah, maybe it doesn't make sense in this situation. He has the military advantage, but I was going to say I'd love to see a stone wall here. But that may just be resources that 3DB is not willing to spend. He needs all of his resources for military. And we see a mass migration of buildings at the bottom. Looks almost goofy on the mini-map. But barracks, stable, archery range, barracks, archery range, all going toward the OVO back here for double production and or improved upgrades. I'm not actually positive which upgrades can be improved from... Yeah, okay, so no upgrades can be improved from the stable at least. Maybe we'll check back on that. More wall coming from 3DB. Trying to really wall his opponent in here. And we see a Mangonel and a single Springald. So, I mean, this to me looks like a much healthier use of Siege. I'm still somewhat surprised that they came out of a Siege workshop rather than simply researching Siege engineering. I mean, to be honest, it's more expensive to make the workshop than to research Siege engineering, which is maybe a problem in its own right. But we'll see how 3DB manages to handle this siege. Get some water here. Now, he does have the clock tower, and this is the clock tower nest of bees. So he can certainly make a couple of Springalds, for example. And here's one coming out now. And what is this? Siege speed. Yeah, by 20%. So that makes sense to me. He knows his Springalds are better, and Springalds are really good still at anti-siege, and have more hit points. So you might as well make one or two, and it should only take 2 shots to take out a regular Springald now with other Springalds. So I'd like to see at least a couple out of 3DB, but overall, so far, this composition has felt much healthier to me. So it's rather early to say. Maybe this game will still turn into a 30-on-30 Springald war. But so far, so good with what I'm seeing from the patch. Definitely more Springalds continuing to file out here. This Siege Workshop has pretty much been set to create them non-stop. So we're going to find out how effective this is. I mean, one counter, in theory, if Springalds are nerfed, is to just not make any siege. Don't make any siege, and the Springalds have nothing to counter. So how many do we see? I guess we only see two Springalds here from 3DB. That may still be too many from the point of view of you committed these resources now that your opponent is able to counter. That being said, he should be able to take out this Mangonel with only 2 shots, and we'll see if he's able to. I'd like to see that. Pulling back the Mangonel as he can. So that'll be one of the games here, because if you can snipe your opponent's mangonel, there may not be a lot more that you need. Yep, taking pot shots at it now. And you'll notice it's not actually 2 shots because it has a little bit of armor. So I think after 2 shots, it would have something like 16 health. So this is a bit of a mess here. He does want the battle by the gate for his clock tower. That was a really good shot with the clock tower and SWBs. 3DB starting to bust out of his own gate here. At first, that wasn't looking like a good fight for him, but perfect use of his area of effect siege weapons. And I'll be honest, I didn't see what happened to all the other siege of Capoche. Is this over? This is over. I did not expect that at all. 3DB overwhelms his opponent. Capoche overcommitting to Springalds, and that's the first we've seen of that. So, folks, this has been Paragon RG. Thank you for watching. 3DB beat Capoche Chinese versus the Mongols on Mountain Pass. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Woof, that one ended. I had to hammer through the outro there just to get through it. I didn't see that forfeit coming so early. Was that early? Maybe that was too early. But all he had left were archers, right? What could he have done? Maybe Capoche didn't get the memo about the Springalds. So avert your eyes here, taking a look at the match history. Okay, you can go ahead and look. Deep breaths. Another game. Hello folks, this is Paragon RG and we are casting some top level games. In this case, we're keeping an eye on 3DB because he is playing games post-patch, and we just had a patch rolled out hours ago, so he's one of the only players that has done that. On the left side, the west side of the map here in the blue, we have Capoche playing as the Chinese, and on the east side of the map, we have 3DB playing as Delhi. 3DB is primarily a Chinese player, but I have seen him play Delhi a couple of times now, so I am curious if this is new for him, he's starting to work into Delhi, or just trying to figure it out, or something along those lines. This map is French Pass, and you can see the big eagle sign in between them. 2 sacred sites here and here, with all the big gold patches in the middle. So players often end up, you know, we saw a big match recently between Kashva and Marine Lord, where Kashva actually ran from this position with 3 villagers to each side and stonewalled his opponent into his own side of the map. And I'm not going to spoil it. It was a fantastic game. Well played by both of them. But very cool that players are doing that. And that may seem cheesy, but we're early into the game. We're in the first couple months of this game's release. We want to see every strategy that works and doesn't work, and players can go from there. And obviously, if there's something that always works, is completely unstoppable, you know, if 2 players are of equal skill level and they know it's coming, then something should be nerfed or buffed. But generally, I'm happy to see any and all strategies, so kudos to Kashva for doing that. We'll see if 3DB does anything similar. He placed his mosque pretty much right off the top, researching efficient production, as is very common for the Delhi. This allows them to put scholars in military buildings and boost how quickly they build them. In fact, double the production capacity of that building. So, quite powerful. Definitely not as powerful and versatile as the Chinese imperial officials, but pretty good nevertheless. 3DB being pretty darn annoying here against Capoche. He's not going to kill a villager. There's another one headed out, and in fact, he's just in range of the town center now. Importantly, the mining camp does go down, so Capoche does need to deal with this, though. Yeah, this is so annoying. More coming out. So, with any luck, or perhaps skill, Capoche has included for this in his build, and maybe he'll only lose a little bit of time. And hopefully he needed this many villagers on gold at this point anyway. So yeah, a couple more shots. One more shot from the town center, and that means the villagers can pretty much jump on this guy now. And you can see how annoying he's being. He's here, right? Like, let's go to 3DB's viewpoint for a second here. And I'm going to lock. This is where he's looking. Is this his zoom level? Oh, that's not me. That's him zooming in. So anyway, I just wanted to show you, he is totally fixated on how can I use this scout to maximum effect and make sure I don't get surrounded by the villagers. All right, so 3DB has enough resources to go up to feudal. He is going up with the Dome of the Faith. Not too surprising at all. We'll probably start making scholars out of there when he hits the feudal age. Let's keep looking around. So that was a second scout out of 3DB, and I think we've seen him do that a lot as Chinese. I think he's one of the first players I started to see produce, choose not to make a villager out of the town center in favor of a scout, which sounds crazy, right? I mean, you're forfeiting 50 resources per minute effectively for the rest of the game, or at least, the next 30, 40 minutes. That's obviously a lot of resources, but you still have to weigh that against the information you get by scouting, the sheep you manage to bring back, and of course we see a lot of professional scouts now from players, so I'm assuming once he hits feudal age... Okay, so doing survival techniques now, and once he hits feudal age, he will probably even switch to professional scouts so he can get that done. That being said, as Delhi, that takes long enough to research that I don't know how you prevent your opponent from getting all of the deer first. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Barbican of the Sun going down on the west side of Kaposha's base here, guarding his gold, but actually kind of guarding the whole west flank of his base. You'll notice that the trees go right up against the cliffs here. So really nice spotting by him. No need to build that conservatively. So he's grabbing a good chunk, and he'll even defend some of the stone here. In Age of Empires 2, for example, you might see a wall, like a partial wall here, just to force players to go near it. And I have seen some players do that kind of thing, but not too many just yet. We did see a second mosque come out from 3DB. Dome of the Faith finishing up. So I'm curious now if he switches techs. I'm guessing Piety gets paused? Yes, no? Yes, no? He adds herbal medicine. Here we go. So Sanctity gets started down here. And let's take a look at his mill. No professional scouts. So that does make sense to me. He has a good number of sheep, so you could see survival techniques still being useful. But he did choose to switch it out for... Oh, no, that's right. Survival techniques doesn't actually help. It only helps with hunted meat. So sheep don't count for that. So he switched to horticulture, perhaps realizing that he's not going to be getting much hunted meat this game. Scout managing to make it around the long way, the safe way, around the Barbican of the Sun. Imperial official here from Kapoch, supervising this gold mine. It looks like he's going to shift quite a few villagers off of it. So he was plowing forward as hard as he could for gold. I'm not sure why, unless the theory is something like you might as well have villagers on fewer tasks, because that way you can supervise each task. So, he doesn't need to supervise this gold mine. There's only 2 villagers on it. And with 15 village... Yeah, that's a lot. All on this, then he gets 20% increase on their effectiveness. And he'll shift this this Imperial official up here. So that's actually an interesting insight. I don't think I've seen many players do that. I have seen major shifts in villagers between resources, but I think generally in Age of Empires that's been seen as a mistake. That's when the player has not correctly understood how many villagers they need on a given resource. But in this case, it actually seems like the smart play. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these switch off of wood and go to food. Yeah, and that's where they're headed. So he doesn't need that many on wood. And now he can just really stock up here. Does he have... I would love to see, actually, the Song Dynasty. I would love to see the taxation Imperial Academy. You could get the research to pick up 40 tax at a time, because there's 236 gold sitting in this mill. And 61 here, 30 here. So you could definitely clean up on that. Sorry, the scouts have been yelling at me for some time. So let me take a look at what is going on. We see 2 scholars in each of these mosques. Dome of the Faith is continuing to produce that 5th scholar. And the compound of the defender coming up. Okay. This is the 3rd time I've seen these. Hopefully that's not too loud for you, because I think I have the game sound turned down in my streaming software. But for me, that scout is shouting into my ear nonstop. As I was saying, this is the 3rd time very recently I've seen the compound of the defender from the Delhi player, which is starting to make me curious. I think on maps where you can wall easily, this is starting to make a ton of sense. You get 25% cheaper stone wall, stone tower, and keep. So in any stone building, 25% off. So 600 stone for a single keep, which is really quite nice. Something to note, though, is that, oh my god, like, it's because he keeps popping in and out, and I just keeps hollering at me. See, that was probably calling out these guys. And that's probably, I wonder if they're calling out him. We are in 3DB's point of view, so. Okay, New Age begins. So you see, there's no upgrades in here, but it provides that the cheaper stone cost of buildings and their emplacements, which I didn't realize, but I don't think that's exceptional. So something to note is that because honed blades, which is a unique tech for Delhi, and it comes out of the House of Learning, the other tier 3 landmark, because it's bugged and it takes a really long time, and I think it may even take longer the more scholars you have garrisoned. So because of that, players, I think, are starting to go for the compound of the defender. So it's perhaps sad that that's the way it happened, but I'm still pretty happy to see it. Smile because it happened. We'll go with that. Astronomical clock tower. Double blacksmith. That's interesting. This would normally be some kind of timing here. And he did throw down 3 archery ranges, so I guess we should expect to see... Did we ever see... We never saw the Imperial Academy, did we? Okay, here it goes now. So we expect to see a lot of Jugonus out of Capoche here. So that makes sense to me. They were buffed recently. They're cheaper. They have less hit points, but you can really pump these things out, and they do really good damage. They counter quite a few things, so it makes a lot of sense to me. The question for me is when 3DB will be walling. It might be too late now. This will be up any second. Jugonus will be all around the map any second. And Capoche is not blind. He has scouts here. There's a spearman coming here. A couple more scouts here. So, you know, he is already well out and about on this map. I don't know that... Unless the plan is a keep. I was thinking walls, but maybe... You know what? 3DB has 584 stone. He only needs 16 more stone. And he can drop a keep. Something I've been hoping to see is players drop a keep and research the technology to be able to produce villagers from it, which is also Delhi specific. The problem is that tech takes something like 15 minutes now, and I think it's also a bugged one that increases the more scholars you have, so less viable since the patch, unfortunately. We also saw a market. That's interesting. Okay, so I missed the elephant on the field, but we see a Tower War elephant swinging to the left. So this would have been enough to push back whatever it was the Capoche had. You can see the spearman took some damage there. So I don't know that he's going to commit to War Elephants, but it's probably... Oh, never mind. I say that and there's another one coming. And another one. So he's actually full on pumping out war elephants right now. I was going to say, you don't even need to put a scholar into it because they're so expensive, but he does choose to put one in. That's actually really clever. That might be the perfect tool. Well, to do exactly this, to just push back his opponent long enough to get the wall up. Do we see anything up here? So, scholars running up here. There is a spearman waiting for them, which is good play by Capoche. Let's take a look at what he's up to. I expect to see quite a few Jugonus by now, unless he slowed building them. Are there any extra town centers? Nothing like that. So he appears to be on one TC Song Dynasty. I know it says Tang, but he has both... Oh! Okay, so just trying to drive away the spearmen there. Anything to buy some time to capture that sacred site. Capturing this sacred site with the help of the elephant. And the wall is down. Now, one thing I would point out, I'm not actually convinced that you always want to place a gate here, because your opponent can bring a siege tower and actually just drop units off. And now, because of the gate, they'll be able to just come down this side and out. Whereas, if it was just wall, they have no way down. So, I think we'll start to see players bitten by that soon enough. A bit of a bummer here. This scholar is going to go down unless this war elephant can get there. And actually, he might get there in time. I think he just needs to run the scholar away a little bit. It's not as though it's taking a lot of damage. It has 130 hit points. These things are surprisingly tanky. So we'll check. Yep, he's going to run away a little bit now. And this war elephant should be enough to take out these scouts pretty quickly. Spearman going down. War elephant flank. I love it. Taking out these scouts. I'm loving this play. This is such solid, simple feeling play from 3DB. This feels like a... this might be an early form of it, but this just feels like a good build. You basically know that your opponent isn't going to be able to do a lot to you when you're first getting out war elephants. Hopefully, let's see if he can capture this in time. It looks like he can. So he'll run away now. And yeah, those Jugonus are not going to be able to take out the elephants. So he knows his opponent can't do anything about the elephants just yet, or at least his opponent on the Song Dynasty probably can't. He could, he could go Lancers or Heavy and Pikes. Springalds are less good against elephants now, so that is an indirect buff to elephants, right? Because they do 30 damage against regular units. And look at that, Capoche just forfeits. 3DB probably about to wall this off with, yeah, there's a villager right here ready to do it. Sacred sites he'd have, stonewalled. Beautiful play by 3DB as the Delhi, beating Capoche as the Chinese. This has been Paragon RG, and thank you for watching. Damn! 3DB, you're dreamy. This is the good stuff. Oh yeah, sorry, avert your eyes. I'm actually going to take a quick look to see... Let me get out of this so you can look as you choose. I want to see if there are any players that have more matches now. Here we go. Just look at the top of the leaderboard and see if there's any players that have played in the last couple of hours. I think it's mostly 3DB, so this appearing to be a low point for overall play. Someone named Urk, not familiar. Dode actually played yesterday, I didn't realize that. And the Viper has dropped down to rank 63. He's played 3 days ago, but he's only playing a little bit while he continues to train for King of the Desert 4, which is a $75,000 tournament. So he definitely wants to win that. Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to grab some water and we'll watch one more game. I'm back after a long 30 seconds. Long but much deserved, I claim. So go ahead and look away. Watch one more from 3DB. And you can look. Hello folks, Paragon RG here, and we are spectating some high-level games. In particular, we're watching 3DB today, and he's here on the west side of this King of the Hill map, in the blue, playing as the Mongols. He normally seems to play as Chinese, and I just saw him play a stellar game as Delhi, but he seems to be trying some different things. On the east side of the map, we have Bonjour Red Panda. We'll be calling him Red Panda. I'm assuming Bonjour is a clan or something along those lines. And he's playing as the English. So Mongols, English, classic historical battle, but not. And this is on King of the Hill. So something, one of the reasons why I'm a terrible player is because I'll forget. I'm like, hey, wait, where's all the gold again? And, well, it's in the middle. 3DB getting a very... Oh, I was going to say, right, he's Mongol, so he moved. It's like, what an odd spawn. Being beside one of the massive gold veins. That is really cool in King of the Hill. He just picked up and moved. And yes, this is only on the outskirts of the center. But it puts him even closer to the sacred site, so we can reinforce it. And puts him right beside an 8,000 gold patch. Very, very cool from him. We'll keep an eye on his build order. We did see the OVO go down over here. I'm fairly certain that went down just about right away. Is one villager on gold and the rest just kicking around on food. So it looks like we're seeing a pretty fast feudal from him. He might add another villager or two to gold. We see one pop out there. Yeah, 7 villagers on food. Not many sheep. Did he make another scout? Okay, good. He did make another scout. So on top of his con. So this is something that he does quite a bit. He sacrifices making a villager in order to produce a scout. And we can see here that's a good number of sheep. He's got 7 sheep there. And in the meantime, his scout has been able to... I haven't been watching it closely, but his scout has been able to bother his opponent's villagers. I don't actually see any damage on these villagers, but one way or another, he knows exactly what his opponent is up to. So it is a trade-off, right? It's something you have to weigh. You are sacrificing 50 resources, or let's say probably closer to 40 with travel time and things like that per minute for the rest of the game. That is the sacrifice he just made in building another scout, but the trade-off was probably more sheep, better understanding of the shape of the map, better understanding of what his opponent is up to, and it may put him in line to do a little better with professional scouts. So we'll see how that plays out. Council Hall going down from Red Panda. Right beside his town center. This is the right play. The last thing you want to do is build it forward and then be driven off by scouts chipping away at your villagers or something like that. So 3 villagers working on that. Nothing too crazy. Currently only 1 on the deer stones of 3DB. I was excited for a minute. I'm always hoping to see the silver tree, but I'm an idiot because there are no neutral markets on this map. So making a silver tree would be completely insane. The Mongols effectively having one choice here for the feudal age. In 1v1 on this map. In 2v2, you could imagine still wanting silver tree, perhaps to trade with a partner. You can imagine maybe drawing the focus to the center of the map and then getting some good trade going somewhere on the side. Council Hall finishing up, looks like by about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So I expect we'll see quite a few longbows out. And you can see how many are on wood here. That's about how many you need to pump out longbows. They eat a ton of resources because you can build them so quickly. So let's see here when this landmark completes. And here we go. 7 seconds. So 90 resources every second. Pardon me, every 7 seconds. So that's about all you can do in that period. If you want to hit Castle Age, you had better be planning on it. You better consider pausing production, or perhaps just playing long enough that you have enough villagers that you can build up a surplus. We see Scout back here chipping away at the OVO. Probably not going to be game ending or anything like that, but just being annoying. And maybe one more thing that 3DB has to react to. And he's still not even in the feudal age, and we haven't seen a barracks or anything like that. So kind of curious, because he could have put down a stable if he wanted to as Mongols. Looks like he's going to run back with just the 2 scouts. So I'm really curious what he's up to here. Is this a... I'm wondering, is this a town center? This might just be fast castle. Archery range going down. Unless he's just not spending his resources. We know he has the gold, so he can always just route to that, you know, as soon as he needs those resources. In the meantime, build up as much food as possible. He'll need some archers for... Sorry, some lumberjacks for archers, but not that many. Okay. We'll check back. In the meantime, the longbow spam has begun. This scout desperately trying to get away, and does with the help of the Khan, so nice move there, but don't get your Khan killed. Looks like he'll probably get away as well. This is probably good from 3DB. I mean, anything you can do to slow down your opponent actually getting to your base is probably, with those longbows, is probably beneficial. He will arrive on this side of his base, which is pretty annoying, so 3DB had better have some kind of plan here, and we see double archer being produced, and he'll probably do the same out of this. You can see he's saved up more than 400 stone, so his plan is just to absolutely pump out archers. That's it. That's what his plan is. More coming from here. They must have been wandered off. He does need to be careful because, you know, 6 longbows will pick off 2 archers at a time. Gosh, I have to say this feels really inefficient to me. But he did take down a longbow. Feels really, really inefficient. I guess it does take the wind out of the sails of the longbow rush, and all you did was commit that stone you've been saving up via the OVO. You can see now he's getting the numbers he needs, and there's about to be 4 more archers popping out of here. So, I mean, these longbows probably just need to leave. So, definitely 3DB losing a bunch of archers right off the top. But I think he should just jump on the longbows, take out as many as he can. See, the Deerstone's moving over here, so he may be waiting for that. He can get some extra speed that way. And then jump on them a little more quickly. Finish them a little more finally. Sorry about that. Moving the screen around a little bit. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. We see a blacksmith coming in for Red Panda. So that makes sense to me. We're getting into an archer war. You're going to want both the attack and the defense upgrades for your archers. And maybe even the defense first. It probably has a greater effect against archers that only do 5 damage. So jumping on at least a couple there. So well played from 3DB. And we see 11 archers against 12 longbows. So he can't push into this. These longbows will get that first shot. Sure, they're slower, but they shoot first, and they'll get the numbers advantage. And they actually do more damage as well, right? So 6 versus 5. And with that blacksmith, I'm sure more to come. So definitely outnumbering these archers now. I think 3DB is realizing that. He did lose a couple villagers on his wood line, so he needs to be careful there. I really like that position from Red Panda, realizing that he can kind of lurk here. If he can keep the archer numbers up, keep his upgrades up, then his opponent can't really engage him directly. And I expect to see an upgrade in any second now. Double broadaxe. Okay, so Steeled Arrow coming in first. That's the ranged attack upgrade, so the longbows will go from 6 damage to 7 damage, which should be pretty effective. We see the Mongol pardon me, the Mongol blacksmith coming in with the attack upgrade as well. And that makes sense to me for the Mongol player. Gur moving out, trying to get a little bit of a safer wood line. I think that is a smart play. But Red Panda is wandering around looking for things to shoot. So worth noting, it doesn't look like you can walk through here. So that is actually a really nice natural wall, and you can see he's placed his archers here. So I'm liking the positional play here by both players. Really, really good so far. So 3DB has transitioned to a pasture economy here. You see the pastures generating sheep, directing them here. That should allow for about 9 to 11 villagers, and we see 10 here. So well played by him. He knows his pastures. Longbow's just lurking. He's splitting them up a bit. Just probably, anything he can, covering more ground, finding his opponents, and we actually see the first ram coming out. So this is turning into a ram push. The points currently are looking like they're strongly in favor of 3DB. I like to sometimes track down why that is. 22 archers. Actually, let's just take a look here. 35 villagers, 24 military versus 33, 26. Pretty darn close. It's possible Mongols are still bugged, and so it's a little hard to tell. Maybe he has better upgrades or something like that. 3DB needs to be careful. We'll lose villagers here. Yep, lost one. Battering ram coming in. So we'll have to see how this pans out. I believe now your town center can target a unit of your choice if you do so manually. So you can use that to target down their fighting units, and then you can pop your villagers out, hit the ram, and when they come back, you pop them back in. So that is the dance that is being played here. And in that case, I think he probably just wants to mine gold. All these villagers are idle in this meantime. Actually, he's got them on food, which is really nice. So we might see more pastures come down to keep these villagers as active as possible. Keep in mind as well that he can pack this up and just move it somewhere else. There's no... Yeah, there it goes. There's no upgrade coming in right now. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. Let's take a quick look. We have 32 archers, and we have 24 longbowmen. I'll be honest, that might be enough to just jump on them. Might be enough. And with the deer stones, he'll catch them and kill them if it is enough. So here he goes. Try to keep an eye on the numbers here. 18 longbows left. 29 archers left. This is going really, really well for 3DB. This ram has to move back. So far, not a good investment for him on this ram rush. I am still a little confused about the score, but maybe I'm overthinking it. The score... Yeah, I think the score is bugged for Mongols. I'm just taking a quick look. Go back to the battle here. The score is bugged for the Mongols, so we shouldn't take it too seriously in this matchup. Red Panda being pushed all the way back to his base. 3DB will probably pull up a little bit short here. I'd be curious to see if he's researching... He hasn't unpacked it yet, right? Yeah. He can unpack that, research siege engineering, and just do the same thing to his opponent. Definitely an option. Villagers-wise, 39 for 3DB and 40 for Red Panda. So actually, pretty much the same here. I thought that maybe Red Panda would be a little bit ahead. That makes me wonder if he's had some idle time on his town center. I guess that's possible. 3DB could have used stone to add extra villagers, but that's really expensive and generally not worth it. Yeah, so Red Panda's being cheeky here. He's trying to hang out near his own base. I don't think that's going to pan out for him. Ultimately, unless you're close to your town center, you can't really do that. And look how many longbows are going down. And first villager may go down as well. There it goes. So really well played from 3DB, being aggressive when he knows he can win. Red Panda, I'm less sure. You can tell he wants to push out. This ram just needs to come home. No reason for it to be out there. Units will prefer shooting at like a non-ram unit. So there is, I do believe there is some basic coding in place where, for example, if these archers are told to attack move, they won't start shooting at this, whereas they would in a game like Age of Empires 2. Or probably even StarCraft, you know, basically just the first thing they can hit. Tons of villagers going down now for Red Panda. A bunch of archers going down for 3DB as well, but I have to admit, I think this has been pretty good for 3DB. 5 villager lead now for him, so really he can just keep on pressure. And we'll try to keep an eye on any landmarks that pop up. He may be saving for Castle Age. He may just be keeping on the existing pressure that he has, and be hoping to bank any additional resources and then hit Castle Age that way. I think he could also just go home and do it. He doesn't really need to take these fights. And if he hits Castle Age and these hit Veteran, he's in a really good spot. And he can even just go, in fact, forget that. Well, do that, but you can go Lancers. And you'll shred these archers. And then you can hang out under their town center or, oh my god, what is happening over here? Well, I think this explains maybe part of the points difference. Let's look at the income. How many villagers does he have on wood? So, yeah, 12. I have to say, I don't think this is very efficient. Maybe he's hoping to clear it up before moving his lumber camp, but I think he just needs to... Okay, at least he's setting something up here. That was a ton of villagers. Like, not idle, but, you know... Yeah, not the greatest there. 3DB, having moved here, it is interesting. Something I didn't note was that you really do only have that one wood patch near you, and in this case, it was in front of him. In Red Panda's case, it was behind him, so I'm not sure if that's an artifact. No, I was gonna say it's an artifact of 3DB moving, but 3DB actually moved up, and it's still in front of him, so yeah, he probably just was like, where are the trees? I'd be curious to see the start of this thing and see his view as he frantically runs around looking for a resource to unpack near. You really want to be near trees, at least, as the Mongols, and then hopefully another resource like gold. Okay, so 3DB has clicked up. Red Panda has not. Let's take a quick look. It is the step readout. Very, very powerful landmark. I expect 3DB to run up here and to run back pretty much immediately. That being said, if he just outnumbers his opponent, then maybe he doesn't need to run back. 28, 33. So I expect we'll see that veteran upgrade come in here. Okay, let's go back to the fight. You know, I have a feeling the reason the longbows might not win this is just because of overkill. You know, the fact that a lot of your units tend to shoot at a single target. Because I expected that stats-wise, the longbows would actually win this. 7 attack, 1 armor. But there it is. As soon as 3DB hits age 3 and wins that battle, Red Panda really has no chance of getting up to Castle Age and calls it. Another great game from 3DB, playing as the Mongols against Red Panda as the English on King of the Hill. This has been Paragon RG. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Alright, folks. That's probably it for me here. There are, like, official Keck has played 28 minutes ago, but I mean, I'll check, but I'm pretty sure he hides his match history. I'm also not a huge fan of watching, like, duplicate accounts. Like, who is this person actually? I'm assuming it's Marine Lord, but it may not be. So, like, the fact that we don't really know makes it kind of silly to me. Like, we know he's high up on the ladder, yes, but we know nothing else. takes out some of the stakes for me. So anyway, he does hide his match history. That rules that out. I'm going to look at 3DB one more time. Avert your eyes. No, that's the last one. All right, folks, that is all of the casting I'm going to be doing for today. Thanks for hanging out. I will probably do some tomorrow, but I'll be taking a break on the weekend, and you should see a video from me just about every day for the next little while. So stay tuned, follow the YouTube channel, and see the latest games with commentary. Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time.